Hey, it's Saul Overman. I just wanted to do a quick video on a tool I've been using. I wanted to show it off a little bit. Here's the tool. It is a high limb chainsaw made in USA by Green Mountain Products Incorporated. I can't say I've ever heard of them before. It's a rope type saw with a chainsaw type blade with chainsaw cutters that are mounted in both directions so it'll cut on both ways that the rope is pulled. It comes with a bag filled with sand for throwing. It weighs about a pound, 25 foot of rope on each side, and the chain. That's all that came with it, no case or anything. I bought this. I didn't know how good it would work. I'd seen some videos of some of them doing some light duty cutting that looked pretty easy. What I was wanting it for was something a little more heavy duty. I've got a big water oak in the back with some big high limbs that I wanted to bring down. What I found with it overall is that it does work. It's turned out to be more rugged than I thought it would be, with a little bit of maintenance that you have to do on it that I found that it did need quite frequently. Cuts pretty easy. The bigger limbs are a bit of a challenge. It does bind. But, you know, with some effort and trouble, you can drop a pretty high, pretty big limb with it. I've been cutting stuff that, you know, like I said, was 10 inches or over in diameter of live oak. I'll show you a few things on the instructions. They do recommend use a 45-degree cutting angle. It's one thing I found about that cutting angle, it's not as easy to maintain as all that, because as you cut through the limb, as you cut, it changes the angle. So you have to back up a little bit or move up on it to maintain the angle. Throwing of the weight is not as easy as what they say in the instructions. You'll spend a lot of time trying to place the weight, either trying to use an overhand throw or using a slinging technique like they show. You don't get a lot of accuracy with it. Any kind of limbs above or below the target limb that you're trying to throw it at are going to interfere with you. And you'll see a spot, you know, if you put the weight right there, you'll get it right where you want. Well, you'll never hit that spot. It takes a long time. Sometimes the throwing in the bag and placing the rope actually takes longer than the cut you're making. What else did I want to show? Okay, get into the. I wanted to mention some safety stuff on it. It is possible it will cut very large limbs. The final bit of cut on them sometimes is very abrupt, and they'll come straight down without very much warning or no warning at all. It's a pretty easy tool to kill yourself with. You can definitely drop a limb on your head, or you can definitely drop a limb on something else and damage it. The other thing on safety is that I sure want to make sure there was no overhead power lines before I want to start throwing that bag around. If you throw this tool over a power line, you got big problems. Probably get shocked. They do mention in the instructions that these connections here need to be maintained. And what I found is you get about 2, maybe 3 big cuts, like where you're really having to work it through a big limb, and it starts to fray here and then it breaks. These were originally, the ropes were originally attached with rope clips, aluminum rope clips that clipped on each side of the rope and bound it like that. Those, the first time, I guess I got about 3 cuts on it, and that system was gone. I had to retie it. I tried tying just overhand knots near the eye. What I found with that was it made too much bulk in a knot here, and the knot would jam in your cut and jam hard. So what I've had to do is tie a bowline knot back a little bit to make it keep the same profile of where the rope attaches right there. So this is the part that's going to be actually hitting the tree, this first inch of it here. This is a little tab that is designed to keep the cutting surface of the blade down in the wood, and it actually works pretty good. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but it does seem to work. It kind of, when you throw it up there, somehow this thing here will hit and kind of bounce the blade most of the time into the right position, and then it'll keep it in position. The other thing I found was that when it came new, the bag was clipped on with a really lightweight, cheap metal clip that didn't last probably 3 throws, and that had to be tied on. I just left it on. There's no reason to take it on and off. Overall, I've been definitely satisfied with the tool. I thought it was a little expensive and hard to find. I ended up having to order it. I tried all the hardware stores, even our Ace Hardware, and some other tool places here in town. Nobody had it. I ended up ordering it off of Amazon for about $30. They sold a cheaper one at Harbor Freight. I kind of wanted the American-made one just to see if it, would hold up. Probably get a better chance of it holding up and staying sharp. The sharpness has been pretty good, I have to say. Like I said, I've made about 10, maybe 12 really decent-sized cuts with it, and it's still pretty sharp. Probably a couple more cuts, and it will need to be sharpened. But it sharpens with just a standard chainsaw blade file. The rope could have been of a little higher quality. I mean, you're getting 50 foot of rope, so I guess to keep the price down, they couldn't put in $30 worth of really high-end manila rope, but that's probably what it needs to go to. I'm not going to do a video of it being used. They're kind of time-consuming, and they're kind of slow. And usually the ones you see on YouTube are somebody doing a pretty small branch. It's easily accessible. It's going to take, for a big branch, it's going to take a good half an hour or 40 minutes of work to get it to come down with one of these. But it does work, and it's sure a lot safer than getting up on a ladder and making a tall limb cut. So I have to say I'm pretty satisfied with it. Once again, I'll give the brand of it is Green Mountain Products Incorporated. Muller Park, Norwalk, Connecticut, 06851 for anybody that wants to contact them. Like I said, I got it off Amazon. These same ones are available on eBay as well. One thing I did want to show additionally with the show making in the instructions, show making these hand grips. This is a must to learn how to do this, and you just basically, you don't have to tie it. They show that one with a knot. You don't have to do that. You just have to wrap the rope around it a few times. But even with heavy gloves on, this rope being as thin as it is, it will just absolutely cut in your hands and just wear your hands out. So doing this adds a few minutes of setup to getting going. If you have to change positions or anything and redo one of them, it does add a little bit of time and frustration, but it sure makes cutting it quite a bit easier. And when the get deep into the cut and it starts to jam, it gives you a lot more pulling force to clear a jam when you've got some handles on it. There was a few times I got the saw jammed so bad that I really thought I would probably end up breaking the chain or breaking this connection at this tab. There's steel with a brass insert, but I figured I'd shear that pin or break the chain somewhere out in the middle. As hard as I was having to pull on it a few times to get it unjammed, but it didn't break. And I pulled on it, had to pull on it pretty hard and whip it around a little bit to get it to free up and start the cut back. If you pay attention to your angle, so you're not making a curving cut through the wood, it doesn't jam as much. But I found on the big limbs, to the best of my efforts to try to keep the cut straight, it's still going to jam a little bit. It's hard to see, your exact cut and your angle as you're going from the angle you're cutting at. So you're standing out in front of it and you're not really able to see the cut side. So you will get some little jams and frustrations with it, but when it's cutting well and it's running smooth, it's really not that much effort in each stroke, although you're making several hundred strokes, so it's a bit of a workout. But so far I do like it, so this is a win for us. And thanks for watching. If anybody has any questions or anything, let me know. I may run a video tomorrow. I do want to be with the saw in place on a limb and at least kind of show what it looks like when it's in place. You can see here, there's a good little diagram there. You can see how this tree they've got this over, there's no limbs to interfere with or anything. They're showing you kind of the headaches you run into when you're actually using the tool. I really expected this thing to maybe work once or twice for the kind of severe duty that I was using on it and then break, and it's really held up better than I thought it would. So thanks for watching anyway. It's run a little bit long. Saul saving. Goodbye and be safe.